This is Necrobuster. Napalm Death is it gets called a political band.
Salvation of what I see in others.
When you go camping, you get to see the Milky Way galaxy.
Punk rock type attitude too. We're just going to try to, gross you out with our music.
Yo, what's up? This is John from Noise Dosage Media, bringing you some of the most innovative and unique extreme metal musicians on air to have an in-depth conversation about things you probably didn't know until now. Before we unravel this episode, we want to bring attention to our driving force of visual creativity. Begrudgingly Benny creates one-of-a-kind creatures that you can't find anywhere else but below. His focus is on old-school style, slimy stippling that is budget-friendly for all bands or tattoo desired. Stay updated on the sludge by following at begrudgingly_Benny on Instagram. Withered Designs raises the dead with pen and ink and gives them new life with acidic color. Withered is eager to accompany your next album, merchandise, or zine with new, kick-ass, necromantic artwork. Keep up with the Horde by following him at Withered_Designs on Instagram. Thanks for tuning in, and let's dive into this.
I'm a metal fan, for decades. And when I started to play, not just to listen to music, I was still a fan. I still am, So there's a huge fan to stay on stage, to do the music, to create the music, and listen to music I love. So I think that's the easiest and the best explanation. I love it, and that's why I'm doing it. It's not just because I have to do it, of course, after years, after I turned into professionalism, and the Vader became the only thing I do, and like my whole life is pretty much connected with
Right.
Vader. So it's not just fun, but I'm happy because like what I'm doing, the job I have is still something gives me so much fun, and happiness. That turns good into the music itself, I think. Because if I do it because I like it, I do it just naturally good, and positive. You know what I mean? It just that's what I think. If you can do something you like in your life, that's the best can happen in your life, and I
Right.
belong to those people which are happy.
Yeah. You actually have, you technically have like coworkers that are on the same page, You're always, you got the same mindset,
I hope so, and I think so.
We hope so, yeah. All right. So I saw something on your social media that, you were out of your comfort zone when creating music, and I'm just kind of curious as to, do you prefer to be out of your comfort zone when creating, or like packaging up like an album in like a studio?
Metal is first of all playing live. Metal is stage. That's natural, place for this music and musicians, in my opinion. I started to listen to metal and started to play music because I wanted to perform live first. And of course, this is the music, so you have to visit the studio and to just transform your ideas, like new songs, like into songs, to have them then, to put them on your next set list, to refresh set list. So, and I think in this way, I need a studio to record new songs to refresh the set list for the next tour. Playing live is still priority for me and
Right.
for Vader, and nothing is gonna change in this matter.
Do you like switching studios? Do you like just getting like a fresh set of eyes when it comes down to like a producer and stuff like that? Because I've heard mixed reviews where, Cannibal, they record at the same studio every record, and they just have like a method. Where some bands, they like switching up once in a while.
Technically, it's easier if you stay in the studio. It was it was that was exactly what happened with the Heart Studios. That's we spent in the studio so many years, and so many albums were recorded in that place. And I never thought like about the studio, about like the best sound or something. Like I just wanted to make the work the easiest and the nicest for me and for the band. And if you feel good, if you got the place to spend time, especially for me, because like I'm not the guy that works in the house and to prepare the whole album before entering the studio. So I just enter the studio, record, and done. I usually need the studio to work with the songs. So actually the process of creation, the process of creation actually, and a huge percentage is in the studio. So I have some spine, some backbone of the songs, let's say, many ideas already collected.
Yeah.
But I need that time just to focus and spend time. It's pretty much spontaneous, by the way. But this is metal. Of course, I could, if I had enough time for that, just to prepare everything in before and in the studio, because that would make the whole work so much easier and so much cheaper, of course. But,
oh yeah, I was just about to say that. Cheaper, for sure.
But first of all, as I said before, like we so much busy with touring and traveling with Vader every year for decades. So I do not have that much time on tour. I don't like to work on tour. When I was younger and there was no tourings, no bands visiting Poland that often, like in the rest of the world. So every visit, I remember when Iron Maiden was visiting Poland in early 80s for the first time, and that was a shock wave, for the whole, Poland, and especially for those rockers and metalheads, and all this underground scene which was about to rise up, and so if I know that I can give the same feeling, to the people, in some places, mystic places, around the world, that's great feeling. I love it, really. And and I do not separate and name people because of the places they live at, don't like, because it's the metal fans are usually the same. They love music. They're very nice. And they expect what they know what to expect from the band. And that's a good thing. And if you play in Japan and US, China, South America, Poland, Russia, so you meet people speaking different languages, but in the heart, they pretty much the same, and that's good, that. I don't know that might sound pretty pathetic, but
No, that's
metal,
not.
metal, metal unites people, and that's makes that feeling that we can feel good even if we live in different places and different realities and so on and so on. So I'm not trying to be the kind of politic or a preacher,
No, no,
but
no.
but you know what I mean.
What have you learned the most about the community or culture about, extreme metal music?
No, it's changed a lot since '80s, and it still keeps changing. I think,
Hmm.
metal became part of the pop culture. So this makes everything so much different because, like as I mentioned before, when we started to play to listen to music and metal music, it was still kind of the revolutionary, and like the no media were supporting this music. When in 2020, 2021, I see the young guys having the jackets with patches, long hair again, like in the 80s. People, fans, they describe the new every like next album sometimes after they listen few seconds or three songs. Like when we are listening to the album, so that was a special day. Like, usually we are meeting together and we play the music. We focus, like, sometimes in silence, sometimes with just given emotional, pretty much emotional, and we were listening. We knew each fucking note, sometimes, like, and today the music is more like a background.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say about the proper music if you did not listen and if you did not had a chance to know this music since the first to the last note. It's, yeah, for fans it doesn't matter. It's just they care. Then, at least in the past, just try to, let's say the first Creator album or the first, like, Celtic Frost album. Just the production was probably like as cheap as fuck, but this is a legend, and they created the legendary riffs, and nobody was caring about it's in time or it's just the guitar is good enough or something like that or that. But this is technical. The heart is the song, the riff, and that was the heart. And it's not the sound important. A song itself important, and everybody was going to see them live anyway, and that was the point. And that's why I said that to me, metal is first of all life, and sound can be, maybe even should be, different on the album. But if even if it sounded something creepy, shitty, or whatever, it's just, metal is about sound, of course. But if every band would sound the same, that would be really boring. And I think that was a problem in the past. Like, let's say, you definitely remember when the death metal came out, and the Morrisound studio was so much popular, and it's so many so many really good bands were recording there, and they were just like disappear in the meantime just because they were sounding the same.
Right.
It's what I mean. I'm not trying to say it's bad to have a good sound, a good studio, because of course, like, everyone's, also Vader included, it's dreaming to work, at least to have a chance to work with some famous guys, just to try to hear Vader with this or that sound. But this shouldn't be a real priority. You mentioned that at the beginning of our chat, like that. How is about the changing the studios, and it's good because for a band, changing the place is more important than changing the sound, because the place, the record engineer, the man you work with, this is the sound, and this always change the sound of the record, but it doesn't mean that we change the sound of the band. I love that, in metal, because, like, people sometimes they do care about the sound, this power, because metal is power, and I can't say that I never care about that, of course.
Right.
But if you see the whole history of metal, it's 50 years, so many, right, years. So you could find so many albums that today nobody would record in this way. Probably even the band would never change. Today, some bands, they try to sound like those in the past, but not just because the original band loved that sound. They recorded in the best way they could. Sometimes just like Vader first album. I was like chatting with so many fans about the first album. I was like, I do not like that sound. I know that today, especially today, so many people loved it. It sounds so unique. This sounds like legendary, and we'd love to sound like that. Okay, but for me, I had no chance to sound a different way, because like we are young bands with no experience at all. We are put in the studio outside of Poland with the new equipment. Like, everything was different. We had a time set for that, so we had to make it in this proper time. Like, so
you made
that
it
was
work.
all we could do, So the unique is today. But to me, as a musician from those days, it was a horror, because I had no chance. I had to accept that, because I was
Right.
happy that finally we have the first album. And the most important was that we recorded this album for Earache Crackers because that was legendary.
Oh,
you know, and
Earache's
that was
one.
the
Yeah,
absolute, yeah. So that was
that's one of the best.
absolutely that was thing, you know. And I, of course, I wanted to sound better, but in a studio, but it was just not possible. So we did what we could, you know, and that was nothing more to do back then, you know.
Right. So, are you guys planning on coming to the States? Like, I mean, how's the COVID situation down there? And yeah, like where are we
Uh,
at with the band in general playing live shows?
No, I'd love to, and we had planned. You know, we actually when we are in US the last time I was in February
Mm-hmm.
2020, right before the COVID hit the world. You know, that hard. So and we were planning to come back with the new album because when we are visiting, so the new album was about to be done, but it was still yet in progress. So we had that EP, The Messenger, and we're playing some songs from that one. But we're not ready to perform the new album yet, and we
Mm-hmm.
plan to to come back to US and Canada uh, between 2021 with Marduk. That was a plan, and
Oh yeah.
everything collapsed after all these you know problems with virus. And the plan's still active, but we're just waiting for green light. We're waiting for the time when we will be able to hit the soil, American soil again. And
Yes.
definitely we will. We already just we have to just start the procedure again, and that's it. It's from from one hand, it's much easier now, but from the other hand, like until all this situation will be clear up, we can nothing. We can do nothing. Just we have to wait.
Now is
But
it?
we already definitely will not forget about the U.S. Be sure about that.
Yeah. I mean, how is it down there with COVID? Are they?
Europe is different. Europe is like it's it's uh, it's like patched with the places, and each country actually is a little bit different. Situation. Today this Delta virus, this is kind of freaky, and
Yeah, the variant.
some
That.
and so yeah, and some countries are pretty much locked down, and they really the whole situation. It's all about the vaccination, and until the whole popularity in Europe, the whole population in Europe will be vaccinated in at least 70%. So
Mm-hmm.
the problems will still exist. But I
Right.
think we're closer and closer to the situation that will be safe enough just to start the regular life also for musicians because at the moment so we are about to start a tour in a
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks, and there's some places that pretty much they still keep the regime where there's the places the sitting places for watchers, you can't get in more than 100 people, let's say, like that. But
Mm-hmm.
some other places actually there's pretty much free. It's more like, all right, so let's see what's going to happen. It's
Yeah.
anyway, uh after, especially now after you know vaccination, the so high percentage of population,
Mm-hmm.
all the nations they have to check how it works.